Hello everyone, this is James and welcome to Lectures. For today, I will be discussing about diabetic drugs. What is diabetes mellitus? Diabetes mellitus is a disorder that results in abnormally high blood sugar due to either little or no insulin released from the pancreas or the body is not responding well to insulin. That's what we call insulin resistance. But before we proceed, let us first refresh our knowledge on the location and then the anatomy of the pancreas. Okay, so I have a model here. Um, this is the stomach, and the pancreas sits at the back of the stomach. So we have the pancreas here. It is a long, soft organ that extends from the spleen. The spleen is somewhere here into the duodenum. Our pancreas has two major functions, the exocrine and the endocrine functions. The exocrine functions, the exocrine function is the secretion of digestive enzymes through the acinar cells. So when we eat, when the food enters the duodenum, that's when the digestive enzymes are released. And we have lipase, with the help of bile, breaks down fats. We also have the protease that breaks down proteins, and we have the pancreatic amylase that breaks down starches or carbs. And then we have the endocrine function, which is related to diabetes mellitus. The endocrine function is the secretion of hormones through the islets of Langerhans, the islets of desire. We have three cells that produces different hormones. We have the beta, the alpha cells. The alpha cell secretes glucagon and responds to low blood sugar. So when you are fasting, like me, I do intermittent fasting. I don't worry because the liver will produce sugar for me even if I'm not eating. So that's through glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis. And then the beta cells, which are the most abundant cells in the islets of Langerhans, secretes insulin in response to high blood sugar. And then we have the somatostatin from the delta cells. Somatostatin inhibits the release of insulin, glucagon, and growth hormones. Just to clarify, we still have growth hormones throughout our lifespan for many of the metabolic processes in our body, including sugar production. So what are the major criteria in diagnosing diabetes? We have four. Number one is the fasting blood sugar. The fasting blood sugar of 126 milligrams per DL or more. We also have the glycosated hemoglobin or the HbA1c of 6.5 or more, and the oral glucose tolerance test. Meaning to say they're giving you some glucose, and then after 2 hours they're gonna draw your blood sugar. If it's 200 or more, that is a criterion for diabetes. And then the random blood sugar glucose of 200 milligrams per DL or more. So now let's proceed to the major types of diabetes mellitus. We have type 1 or the insulin dependent. This is caused by the destruction of the beta cells of the pancreas. So the pancreas either produces very little or no insulin at all because our immune system attacks those beta cells. This is an autoimmune disease. And then we also have gestational diabetes that causes beta cell dysfunction due to the production of human placental lactogen during pregnancy that causes insulin resistance. And then type 2, which most of the drugs that I'll be discussing today is caused by insulin resistance.
When we eat, the food will be processed into glucose, and glucose is our primary source of energy. When the glucose enters the bloodstream, the pancreas will release insulin to tell the cells to open up so that glucose can enter into the cells. Some of the glucose will be stored in the liver as glycogen for future use, and of course, some of the glucose will stay in our blood. So, shall we say normally it will take 50 units of insulin to take to tell the cells to open up so that 100 milligrams of glucose can come in. But then, if you are not burning this glucose inside the cells, if you are eating a lot of carbs, there is an accumulation of glucose in the bloodstream. So the pancreas will be producing more and more insulin because when before it will only take 50 units of insulin to tell the cells to open up. Now, with the same 100 milligrams of glucose, it will require 100 units of insulin to tell the cells to open up. And then still, you are not burning this glucose inside the cells and you are eating a lot of carbs. And then there will come a time when when the cells, when the body will not anymore respond to insulin. Even if there's a million units of insulin will tell the cells to open up for the glucose to come in, they will just ignore insulin. But if you have to analyze and use the common sense, why the cells are not responding anymore? Why all those body cells are not opening up? Because inside of the cells, they are already saturated with so much glucose that there is no space left for the glucose in the bloodstream to get into the cells. So the pancreas is working so hard to produce more and more and more and more and more insulin. But over time, the pancreas wears out. Just the same as us. When we are overworked, our efficiency will be affected. So over time, the pancreas is worn out and the pancreas is now producing less insulin. And that is the start of type 2 diabetes. What increases insulin sensitivity and decreases insulin resistance? Is physical activity and a healthy low-carb diet. But that is not enough.
And then your glucose will sing. Help me if you can, I'm feeling up. So there's a lot of glucose, and that's where our medications come in. We need help from different classes of medications for diabetes. Now let's start with biguanides. What are biguanides? What are the mechanisms of action? So biguanides suppresses gluconeogenesis, which in turn decreases sugar production by the liver. It also increases peripheral uptake and utilization of blood glucose, meaning to say it will open up those cells so glucose can come in. And then it also has an anti-lipolytic effect that lowers fatty acid concentrations. And in this class, we only have one drug, and this is metformin. Okay? But don't you know that metformin was initially indicated for males only and not for females? Because it says in the drug, meat for men, not meat for women. Corny. There used to be another drug under this class. It's called fenformin, but that drug was taken out of the market because of its high association with lactic acidosis. So, what are the side effects of metformin or the biguanides? Number one are GI symptoms. Why GI symptoms? Because metformin can cause changes in the gut microbiome, and then metformin also increases the intestinal and bile turnover, and can also increases the glucagon-like peptide 1, which can cause slow gastric emptying. We have GI symptoms. We also have vitamin B12 deficiency because metformin can cause altered intestinal motility and reduce reuptake of vitamin B12. And then the most serious adverse side effect, although it has low incidence, is lactic acidosis. And then we have to think, why lactic acidosis? Remember, from metformin suppresses gluconeogenesis. So gluconeogenesis is the conversion of non-fats, or I'm sorry, non-carbs into sugar, into glucose, and that includes your alanine, your protein, and your glycerol, and your lactate. But you are blocking that pathway. We are blocking the production. We are blocking the conversion of lactate into glucose. So lactic acid will accumulate in your bloodstream. As I said, it has a low incidence, but it is fatal when it happens. So what are the symptoms? Mostly also GI symptoms, nausea, vomiting, GI discomfort. But if you have tachycardia, tachypnea, an altered mental status, those are the signs that you need to come to the emergency room. And metformin is also contraindicated for GFR below 30, or you cannot initiate metformin or the biguanides if your GFR is between 30 to 45. Why? Because metformin is not metabolized. You will take it as a metformin and it will be excreted in the kidney as metformin. So if your GFR is low, so you get accumulation of metformin in your blood. Yeah. So if you're taking metformin, it can actually cause weight loss. And when you're taking this medication alone, this is or low risk of hypoglycemia. You are safe because it doesn't affect your insulin.